Welcome to Unstuck with Hydro Air Wellness Lab, the podcast where real people share the real stories behind getting their lives, their bodies, and their mindsets back on track. I'm your host, Breton Hunt, and in every episode we dive into powerful conversations with athletes, weekend warriors, health and wellness professionals, and everyday people who refuse to settle. These are the breakthroughs, the setbacks, the mindset shifts, the moments that get us unstuck. Today is going to be just an introduction to myself and what this podcast is going to bring to you listeners if you choose to listen. It's going to be a little bit of like an interview type of style, but I'll just start off by introducing myself. Again, I'm Breton Hunt. I grew up all over Arizona. My dad is a mining engineer, so we just moved all around the state of Arizona, different small towns. We lived in Peru for a couple of years as well. We ended up settling in the Gila Valley, which is about 2.5 hours east of Queen Creek, Arizona, in a small town called Thatcher. So I went to high school there, played a lot of sports down there. All throughout high school, I played football, basketball. I've always loved playing sports. I've always enjoyed that part of life. I've always enjoyed being outside, doing things like that. But I never really truly understood what recovery was. Didn't even really know what wellness was, to be honest. My idea of recovery and wellness, probably if you asked high school me, would have been something along the lines of, well, my shoulder hurts after a football game, so I went to treatment on Saturday. They put some cool tape on my shoulder. My shoulder feels a little bit better. And then they did a couple of stretches and that was it. And I figured that was enough recovery, maybe resting over the weekend, stuff like that. Never heard of anything like what I deal with now. I'm in our facility, like cryotherapy, red light therapy. Never heard of any of that stuff. I had heard of cold plunging, but I thought that was just for psychos, or just the professional athletes, but I never once thought about getting into an ice bath. That was just something that I was not really wanting to do. But so that was my idea of wellness and recovery. I never really thought I'd get into that as a career, at least that specifically. I went on an LDS mission to Lima, Peru for 2 years after high school. And when I got home, I met my wife at Eastern Arizona College, and we got married in 2017. So almost 9 years ago. Once I married Savannah, I started pursuing what was my dream at that time of becoming a doctor. Eventually a surgeon was my end goal. And so I went through all of the prereqs and all that stuff, changed my degree a couple of times, but eventually settled on the biological and biomedical sciences degree with the intention of going to medical school. So I also was studying for the MCAT and getting in shadowing hours and hands-on experience and stuff. I worked at a dialysis lab for a while. Just did a ton of different things to try and make myself more appealing to those schools. The day came to take the MCAT, which if you don't know what that is, it's just the test that they make potential doctors take that they can then rate and decide if they want you or not. And a good score, at least a competitive score, where they'll actually take a look at you, is in the 50th percentile. So throughout all the tests and everything, all the practice tests, I was scoring, 50 or above. I think the highest I ever got was like a 70 percentile. So I wasn't blowing it out of the park or anything like that, but I felt pretty confident that I could at least get above a 50 percentile mark. And I remember driving to the testing center down in Tucson and super nervous, really kind of scared because your future kind of hinges on that moment. And I took the test and I felt the best that I had ever felt in my entire life. I thought that I had crushed it. In my mind, I felt like I had scored very, very high. I called my wife and told her, I think I just rocked it. I think I just scored my best score ever. I felt so good about the test. My brother, who is in medical school right now, he was preparing to take the MCAT as well. And I called him and I said, dude, it wasn't that bad. And he goes, oh, okay, that makes me feel a little better. And then he went and took it the next week and called me and said, dude, I don't think I did very well on that test. And it's like, oh, I'm sure you did fine and all that. But then you have to wait a month to get your test scores back. It's kind of dumb, in my opinion, but you gotta wait a month. So waited the full month thinking that I was going to be going to med school. Started getting applications ready, all that stuff. Email came with my score and I opened it, and it was not the news that I wanted. I had actually scored the worst score that I had ever scored on anything related to the MCAT. I wasn't even in the 10th percentile. That's how low my score was. So I was pretty defeated. At the time, we had just had twins. So we had our daughter and then we had a set of twins. So our family dynamic was pretty crazy at that moment with 3 kids, 2 and under. So the idea of going back and trying to take that again just didn't feel right to me. It seemed that ship had passed and I didn't really understand why. And I was very frustrated, very upset that had happened because it didn't make sense to me. Definitely wasn't wellness in the wellness world, wasn't taking care of myself mentally after that. Really just kind of went into this, I wouldn't say like a dark place, but I was very bitter for a really long time about that. A lot of resentment, unnecessary resentment to other people because it wasn't their fault. Or, my brother, who said they didn't feel very good, scored really well. And like I said earlier, he's in med school. He's almost done with his 4th year, which is awesome and happy for him, proud of him. But it was really hard for a really long time to see him do that. And then shortly after that had all happened, we had moved into our first house, and my wife started not feeling very good. Lots of just different things, a lot of different hospital trips, and she was diagnosed in early 2021 with lupus nephritis, which is a autoimmune disease, kidney disease, class 4. Her kidneys were functioning at 30% when we got that news, which was really, really hard as young kids ourselves and then having 3 young kids as well. So at that point, I had pivoted to real estate with my father-in-law. I worked with him and 2 of my brother-in-laws for a company called Peterson Properties and Management in Gilbert, dealing with land development. So I was doing that. I was enjoying it, what I was doing at the time. And after we got that news, just a lot of stuff just went on the back burner, as far as career-wise and things like that. I still tried to be involved as much as I could, but my wife was on chemotherapy. She was on lots of different drugs, medications, lots of stuff. And it was really, really hard for a really long time. And it just added to my bitterness. It added to my frustration with just life in general, because my wife was very, in my eyes and in the eyes of a lot of people, very healthy. She took care of herself. She exercised. She ate properly. She didn't eat things that you shouldn't eat. She didn't do things that you shouldn't do. Seeing that was really difficult. And I wouldn't be in this profession that I'm in now if it wasn't for her and what she decided to do after she got that diagnosis. So once she got her diagnosis, her being her, she just went it and attacked it, just saying, they tell me that, I only have 10 to 15 years before I'm going to be on dialysis, and then I'll have to be on a kidney transplant list and this and that. And she just said, you know what, that's not going to be me. I'm going to find a way to beat this. And so she just dove into research. She dove into all kinds of things that I'd never even heard of. She dove into homeopathy. She dove into natural medicine, all kinds of things, and found a clinic in the Swiss Alps through a friend who had sent her niece over there for her autoimmune disease and had great success. So she started looking into that and had the opportunity to go over to Switzerland for a month and just have them look at everything, had them do all kinds of just different treatment things to help her get that under control. The big thing that she learned over there was how to eat and what things to eat. And she came home and her numbers for her kidneys really started improving a ton. And now she has been in remission for almost 2 years with her kidneys functioning as a normal person's kidneys should function. And all of it, one, we credit God, obviously. He's in charge and he allowed it to happen, obviously. But I firmly believe that she also had a huge part in it. Her desire to find things that would work for her. Without that desire and that burning passion to find that, she wouldn't have found it. And she would probably, her life would be a lot different right now, as would mine. So she was able to, figure out how to live with it, deal with it, and ultimately, as of now, put it in remission and keep it there. So seeing her go through all of that and watching her change the way she ate, the way she thought about different things, her nightly routines, her morning routines, and just different things really kind of woke me up a little bit as far as the wellness world. And then I started learning a little bit more about it. And as she was teaching me things that she was learning, at the same time, one of my brother-in-laws, who's now my business partner, Bryce, he's a physical therapist and he was working in real estate with us and decided that he didn't want to go further with that. He wanted to go back to PT. So he was sitting in our conference room that I'm in right now and talking to my father-in-law, Kevin, and they were brainstorming certain things and called me and he said, "Hey, come here, come talk to us about this. Bryce is thinking about opening his own physical therapist office in the same business park over here. And what do you think about adding or having some water treadmills?" And I'd never heard of water treadmills or, anything like that. And they put it up on the screen. Hey, this is what it looks like. This is how it'd be beneficial for people and all this. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that would be really cool. And then Bryce started talking about boost treadmills or microgravity treadmills. He had done a study on Alter G treadmills or anti-gravity treadmills, same thing, just different names, when he was in college. And he was saying, we should get some type of microgravity treadmill as well, just a different type of treadmill, another option for people. And the idea then started forming that we were going to just have this facility full of treadmills. That was it. One side of the facility would be all water treadmills, and the other side of the facility would be all boost treadmills, microgravity treadmills. That was it. And the more we thought about it and started talking, we then, I said, well, there's a lot of people that are really into the cold plunge right now. That might not be a bad thing to look at and put that in the facility as well. So after someone runs, they could go recover in the cold therapy. So we started looking into those and decided it was a good idea and went ahead and bought 2 plunges. Then my other brother-in-law, Adam, came in and he said, I go to this place that has these things called cryotherapy machines, and they're very similar to plunges, but you don't have to get wet. It's all cold air instead. So we looked into that and decided, yeah, that would be a good option. With us having water treadmills and microgravity treadmills, one you get wet, one you don't. And kind of the same thing here with a cryo machine. You've got one where you don't get wet and then the plunges that you do get wet. So we went ahead and got that and bought a couple of other things. We bought some massage equipment. We bought some, like a big old TRX bridge for body weight workouts. We bought a regular treadmill. So all in all, we ended up buying 2 water treadmills, 2 microgravity treadmills, 1 cryotherapy machine, 2 plunges, a bunch of massage equipment, the TRX bridge, bands, yoga mats, a couple of weights, kettlebells. And then the last thing that we bought before we really thought we were ready to open this up to the public was a red light therapy machine. So we bought that, and Hydroair, at the time Treadmill Lab, because like I said, originally it was just going to be treadmills, was born. And then we have since changed the name to Wellness Lab, since we feel like that kind of incorporates everything a little bit better than just a treadmill lab would. But the whole idea behind this podcast is to bring people on that have had experiences in wellness, that are health professionals in wellness, that are athletes that are recovering, that are training to go on to the next level, weekend warriors, people that are constantly doing crazy activities, and then just ordinary people who use this equipment or who do have a wellness routine, and just their story, how they got into exercising the way they do, how they got into the recovery methods that they got into, to bring hope to people and help people get unstuck. I think unstuck can mean a lot of different things, and it can relate to a lot of different people in different circumstances. It doesn't have to be someone that's stuck losing weight. It could be someone that's stuck mentally. It could be someone that's stuck physically, someone that's stuck spiritually. It doesn't matter. You can be stuck in all kinds of different aspects in your life. And this podcast is meant to bring hope and show you that there is ways out. And it might look different for you than the person that's on, or it might look different for you and your friend who's going through different things. The whole point of this podcast is to give you information and to hopefully help you find ways to get unstuck in your life. This facility, this whole career shift that I've had has helped me get unstuck. Like I mentioned, I was very, very bitter for a very long time. And the bitterness just got, it accumulated and got worse and worse, just because I let life happen to me, and I didn't do anything to combat it. I didn't fight back. And something that I've come to realize lately is life is going to happen, and you cannot control what's going to happen in your life. You cannot control the hardships that are going to come. We're all going to have hardships. They're going to look different for everybody, and we can't control them. But what we can control is how we react to them and what we're going to do to get through that hardship and make it get through. And I realized that no one is going to come and do it for me. No one is going to come help me get unstuck and let go of the bitterness that I have. No one's going to come help me lose the weight that I want to lose. No one is going to do that for me. There are people that are willing to help. There are programs out there that can help you, but ultimately it resides in you. You have to decide, I've had enough. I'm changing. Or this is happening to me right now. I don't like it, and I'm going to change something. My wife's example for me, that's where it all kind of started. It took me a little bit to come around because I'm pretty stubborn, but seeing her say, yeah, I've got this disease, this autoimmune disease that I didn't plan for, but I'm not going to let it beat me. I'm not going to let it dictate my life. I think that that's the type of attitude that we all need to have. And my hope is that this podcast can bring that hope to you, and it can provide you different ways, different avenues to find those things that'll work for you. So I hope that this can be beneficial for you, and I'm really grateful that you guys are here, that you're starting this journey with me. I ask for patience, and any advice is welcome, because this is all new to me, but I would appreciate any of that. I have really, really big plans for Hydroair Wellness Lab. What you see on Instagram, what you see if you come into our facility, for me, that's not the only thing that I want to accomplish with it. I have a lot of really big dreams and really big goals that I have set for that place. That's probably a different episode, but I can go into that kind of stuff. But if you're curious and you want to know what I have planned, just come talk to me, and I'm more than willing and happy to tell you what I have planned for that place, as well as Bryce, me and Bryce going in on that together. So, but I just want to thank you guys for being a part of this journey with me. This is just the beginning, like I said. So the biggest thing that I would ask any of you guys is, if you do like this show, if this resonates with you, if this is something that you find helpful, to please share it with people, let people know about it. And then if you want to subscribe to it, feel free to subscribe to it so that you don't miss an episode. But the big thing that I would appreciate the most is if you share it and let other people know that might be going through something. If there's an episode on where someone you know is going through something, you think, man, that would really help them, what that person said, please share it. And then always, the doors of HydroAir are always open. If you're in Arizona, come and check us out. Come talk to us and let us know what your wellness goals are, and let's see if we can help you out with that. But once again, thank you for joining me. My name is Breton Hunt, and this was the first episode of Unstuck. And remember, guys, progress starts with one step. See you next time.